Great. Onegaishimasu.
Onegaishimasu.
Okay, good. We'll just start a little bit loosening. Just find a shoulder width. Balance out a little bit. And just settling the feet. Yes, settling into the feet. Now we'll take a little bit of arm swing. Nice and dynamic. And open across the chest. Good. Stick it to a little bit of arm swing, just alternating one side at a time. And roll forwards. Okay, good. Taking them onto the side. And loosen up, finding the hips. And second hips. And the other way. And take it in circles. And change. Go to the rest of the ankles. So, then one way. And change. Changing the leg, just opening the hands up. One way. And change. Okay, stimulate a little bit wider. Dropping the hips slow, just pressing the hands down into the ground. And just loosen out, mobilizing. A bit to the side, a little bit up and down, a bit front and back. Walking legs a little bit wider. And just play here, just walking the hands out, walking them back, pulling the body up. Nice and slow with it. Walk the hands out, a little bit of weight into the hands. Walk back, pull the hips up. And setting back into the feet, just reaching across one side, opposite hand to foot. And coming down one side, raising the toes off the ground if you can. And again, choose the hands as much as you need to, mobilise a little bit. Switching over. Okay, good. Coming a little bit back up. Bring the feet a little bit narrower. In this case, you're going to come with the hands on top of the head. Take the knee down to let the foot rotate. You're going to come down and just think about rotating the far side elbow a bit towards the ground, and then think about just rolling back up with it. So choose a side, rotate, align the toes to that new direction, come down, and just think about drawing body up into it, come back up. And I've got the movement, you can make a little bit of fluid coming up and out of it. Especially targeting the hips, especially in this case of the thoracic spine mobility. Good. That's it. Good. Good. And then nice one for balance in this case, balance into one side. you're going to take the leg out the back, same side, hand as foot. Just reach out, touch the ground. Float the foot back up. If you need to touch down, only touch down. If you can, keep it floated off. In this case, same side, hand, foot. Reach down. Come back up to neutral. Reach down. Come back up to neutral. Think about going down with length, extension. Nice one for balance as well, stability. Just a couple more on this side. Great, and then shake that leg up a little bit, balance into the other side, and then same thing. Think about same side hand as foot. Reach out, touch down, come back. If you need to touch down, touch down. You might notice you have a side that's a bit more balance than the other. Let's take your time with it. Good. Good. And we'll do one more. This one is actually from foundation training. You step back into it and you reach up. Think about taking the weight into that leg, pressing really strongly into the ball of the foot, and letting the outside edge of the foot be a kind of trapeze for the foot. And then think about reaching the leg back as you reach the hand out. Just touch the knee down into the ground. Don't settle really any weight in it. Keep the weight in the front leg. Pull yourself back up long. In this case, just switch sides each time. So find the weight in the foot. You can wiggle onto the foot and the toes. That same side reaches forward, with the hand reaches back, with the foot touch down, come back up. And again, think about doing it all with nice, clear length through the body. Reach up, foot and hand. Foot and hand reach away. And into the foot. Good. Very good. Okay, last one. Coming down to the ground in this one. This one, you start on all fours with it, like a wide plank position. Now think about bringing one leg forward, taking one side down, coming back up, and bring the leg back up. So it's like a lizard push up, and into it, come back up, place the foot down. You can do this dynamically, but just take your time to bring the leg up, press down into it. Really good one to open up the hip. And so just a nice check on the ability to keep the ground, work through nice lengthened hip. We're going to try just a few. Very good. Good. Last week we'll do on the back, just a little bit of 𝘭𝘵 work. So just find a nice comfortable position. Really use the sides of the body in this case. So as you come up from the movement, think about really rolling through the sides, so using this whole side of the body. Come across and then really come down, open up the side of the body. So nice full movement. Roll back. So the feet keep that forward direction, but you're just using the side of the body to come up a little bit more. Just take your time with it, keep the breath going. And then the next one just uses like a low squat position, so don't worry too much about the direction of this. You might find yourself kind of moving around a little bit with it, but think about coming up to it, get the feet are flat, and then think about using the hands as you come up. Find a really low squat position and just sit into the feet with it. If you can touch the heels down, you can go that far, if you can. I can't at the moment. But just play with it coming up, using the hands as much. You need to find that low squat position. Just feel that the weight's really loaded into the feet, so you don't need the hands. And then come down. Just do this every so often, so you do a couple of rolls, 3 or 4. Find a slow squat position. Use this kind of rest into, and then go back into it. So do a few repetitions of the roll. And again, just springing into that slow squat position. And just get comfortable there as well. Okay, last one we'll do is it's not the full forward roll, it's just the kind of reach through. If you've got the space you want to, you could take this to the forward roll, but I'm just going to go just the very first motion of it. So if you start on like an all 4 position, in this case, think about really reaching through under, this leg straightens, and then really think about just drawing through. So if you're trying to reach the foot, and then pull the body back. So you're starting like in a kneeling position. Find the foot, find the hand. Reach through, come back. So just really using it to open up that rotation of the upper body. So the hips are really opening. You're nice and steady. We've got 3 clear points of contact, and also the lead hand as it goes into the roll is also finding the forearm as an extra point of contact. Very stable position. And if you want to, you've got space, take it to a forward roll if you like, but I'm just going to keep to that one for now. Nice. Good. And again, you can play with the forward roll with this if you want. What I want you to play with mixing in, we'll just do a minute or so of this. What you're going to do is work with the back shift, the roll, and then play with coming up, and then play with choosing a side, roll through it. Again, you can go all the way through into a forward roll. I'm not going to go there for now. And then just mix in, play with on the back. And then every so often play also with coming up, rolling over, choose a side, come back, and again, if you wanted to, you could take it into a full roll. Let's just full backward rolls if you want, we'll just do a couple of minutes, a minute or so there. That's feeling really comfortable, switching. Good. Very last one, just play with this a little bit, but think about going from a standing position to a kneeling. And again, you don't have to go into a roll with it at all, but just think about coming down into the ground with it, sitting down. Use the hands as much as you need to. You can use that backwards roll, find the feet, find the floor with the ground up, find the ground with the feet, and just stand up with it. So play with one nice variation, which is this, which is being able to kind of spiral down into it. So if you think about kind of spiraling the joint system down, taking your time with it, sitting the hips down, And then you just want one long, slow movement down and up. So think about it being a constant movement. And really, the slower the better in this case. Especially if you're working on a hard surface. But also just good for control as well. Pretty good. Okay, great. Grab a jump. We'll do a little bit of 𝘧𝗔𝗞𝗜𝗚𝗠𝗨𝗦𝗨. So we'll just work through a few of the 𝗧𝗪. So if you just we'll start with number one. Just think of a nice clear form, left side, really clear into it, one, and then really carefully coming back into 𝘭𝑪𝑑𝘦. Nice solid finish. Nice clear return to base. We'll just add a thrust to the back with this. So if you do the same pattern, just watch out, make sure the space behind you as you do it. Think about going into a ski here, and then just from this position, think about just pressing back into a rear ski. Don't worry too much about the power in the ski, in the reverse, in the shear ski. But just think about that motion. What you're looking for is the ability to just go from this position. And now I know I'm going back, I need to really balance the structure. So it's able to just press back. It's just really a test of that structure at the end, not really a pattern that we use too much, but it's just a kind of a test on that finishing posture of the ski. Can I just press the body back a little bit to that shear ski? Great. We'll go to number two. Get just a few nice basic form with it. Again, just look for a really strong balance at the end of it. So nice, clear position, not leaning to the front, not leaning to the back. Just nice, solid position at the end of it. Trying to rest into the inside of the structure. So the next one is really about creating a connection from the core of the body into it. So in this case, just a very simple pattern. You start with this movement and then release it and see if you can stay really connected into the space between the two hands. So the main issue with this one is to kind of lose the center in this movement so that the arms kind of operate on their own. And the tendency with this one is to one of two things: either the 𝘭𝘰𝘠𝘠 stays ready and kind of reach with the hands, or I pull the 𝘭 back and then kind of reach forward with it. So just think in this case about creating a connection here from the center to the 𝘭. Press it forward and then keep it, roll it back, and then find a second ski with it. So you're trying to sustain this connection, but just take it slow with this. Really feel the center driving in between the two hands. It connects in and then it presses out again. So you're looking at really what's the connection between the center to the two hands, the space, and particularly the kind of space in between the two hands. But they're using this form to kind of lose that by pulling the arms away from the core. So you've got this kind of constant drive of the center to work with the hands. And this form just also works in a little bit more of a flexible pattern. That's good. Okay, and we'll take that a little bit further. We'll skip into some of the later 𝗧𝗪𝗡, or we'll skip into the second set of 𝗧𝗪𝗡 in this case. Think about raising up to the top, and just the first few just into the strike. So we'll do a few from here to just play with, but just get a nice, clear, really strong connection from the hip work to the hands. Nice kind of basic 𝗧𝗪𝗡. Really creating length through the body and then delivering the length through the strike. Next one, like I said, nice and long. Let's see. Yeah, this is an issue. Down low series. Yeah, so this is an issue I had last year working in really a place with really low ceilings, and you've got two choices. You can cramp the body up and basically do something like shorten the movement, or work with a shorter stick, or just avoid the movements. But neither of those is good. So the main thing is we'll skip that one because it's a bit of an issue anyway. But we'll go into this one, which is an easier form to do, but it has a similar kind of problem, but just work with, in this case, just a left side. So we'll do a little bit of a easier form to work with a lower space or lower ceiling. But yeah, think about that same kind of thing now. It's a little bit more complex in terms of that connection. But think about, again, that same kind of connection, the center to the space between the two hands, and using it to drive up, connecting to that ski, to connect into the strike. That's the way you're calling it. 𝘭𝘪𝗪𝗪 is a bit of a tricky one with a low ceiling. Not ideal. Okay. We'll play with one form because the kind of setup in the 𝗧𝗪𝗡 is that you strike on the symmetrical, slightly more symmetrical side, or the more intuitive side to strike in, and then you practice also not on the left side as well. So just play with, in this case, start in the left side and just play with the right side you're coming. So what you're looking for in this case is the body to just be delivered again with a kind of length. The main problem with going to the left side is the body goes into a kind of twisting position, and this starts to happen and pulls me out. So if I go there straight away without working the right side, the more kind of natural side to strike with, the tendency is to go into a little bit more twisting work. So Try and avoid any kind of twisting with it. This is a little bit less of a risk that it happens with the strike because of the orientation with the arms. But just be aware of it. I don't want to twist into it. I just want to deliver a rotation through the upper body with that kind of twist of the structure, especially the upper body in this case. So in this case, yeah, start on the left, strike over to the right side. Easy done. Let the 𝘱𝘭𝘢 go to the left side. So when you strike with this one, let the tip of the 𝘱𝘭𝘢 go over to the left. So open up that space, and then it makes it a bit more sense. You start with the left foot, tip goes to the left, roll over into the strike that way. That's it. Yeah, got it. That's it. That's it. Okay, and then just play with a few forms from here for striking with that 𝘥𝘢𝘢𝘦. We'll go into a 𝘭𝘫𝘦. So if you go from here, roll back, and then into the 𝘭𝘫𝘦. So it's a bit tricky, so you got to reset totally. Start with the left side, strike on the right 𝘥𝘢𝘢𝘦. Again, that same kind of connection between the two hands in the center, rolls the 𝘭𝘠 back, and then spreads into the strike here. So again, you're just trying to orientate the center so that it's working constantly between this space of the hands. So in this case, the left side 𝘥𝘢𝘢𝘦. Sorry, right side 𝘥𝘢𝘢𝘢, left side 𝘭𝘫𝘦. Slightly breaking the 𝘭𝘪𝘏. Same idea. That's nice. Okay, great. We'll go back onto the right side and then striking with the left. So the main thing again is the setup with this. Try and avoid something like the body twisting into the strike. So think about delivering the structure nice and cleanly. But again, you've got the problem of the hand now pulling forward. So really try and settle that into it. So just a few, just striking the left side 𝘥𝘢𝘢𝘦, really trying to set the strike into the body so it's nice and grounded. Rotating the hips into the strike, but you're not twisting the body into it. A little bit trickier structure. Good. And then this the 𝘭𝘪𝘏 that we do for number 10, think about going into an 𝘭𝘪𝘏𝑔𝑒. So again, the setup for this needs to be very clear that I really want to be in the body with this, and then just that pressure in the front foot, send the 𝘱𝘭 to the back. Okay, so you're looking for a really instant connection to the 𝘱𝘭. Again, the problem if I kind of twist into it, now it's a long way for the arm to kind of reach back into the body to find the ski. So the feedback on this is the strike and my ability to ground it into the shoulder, into the spine. So you kind of just initiate that movement back with the whole body. Strike and just move back into it. It should put me in a position where there's extension. It should just be fired back into that ski, into the 𝘭𝘪𝘏𝑔𝑒. Yeah. So one thing tends to happen with this move, which is a kind of waiting for the other hand to come into the move. So something like this happens. I go into the strike, and then I kind of wait for this hand to arrive, and then I initiate the movement. Okay, with this, think about all of its initiated. So if you think about, it's the same. It's always the same kind of logic. I don't want to kind of wait for anything, and then kind of strike with it. So think about arriving everything at the same time. So it initiates all, and then initiates all into it. So it's all parts of the move, but there's no sense of I'm going to wait and then I'm going to go into the strike. So the risk of this is making two things of actually one movement. So think about one movement into the strike, one movement into the ski. And it's just a matter of kind of balance in terms of the structure. You can just initiate the whole body into the ski. In the same way that you do forwards into the 𝘥𝘢𝘦𝘢, just a little bit harder. You're going backwards with it. The hands kind of needs to kind of find a new position. Can I just express the strike back? That sense of kind of delay in the move. Just goes. Okay, we'll just play a little bit, just go to a basic form with this, but explore different patterns with it. So choose a starting position. In this case, you can choose actually work from 𝘭𝘪𝘢𝘵𝘢𝘐𝑚𝑖. Yeah, and just think about working either with the number one, and then play with these a few movements. You've got the back position. Okay. You've got 𝘭𝘪𝘠𝑚𝑖. And you've also got any way you can go into a strike. So if you think about also going into number 5, which we haven't done, just think about going into this. You could also take this into a little bit of 𝘭𝘪𝘠𝘢𝘪𝘏, but just explore those kind of possibilities with it. Keep it again basic, but think about really moving from one position, pause, find a balance, go straight into the next one, and just explore different possibilities. You've got 𝘱𝑜shiī, you've got 𝘭𝘪𝘠𝑚𝑖, 𝘱𝘭𝘪𝘠𝑚𝑖, 𝘭𝘪𝘠𝑚𝑖, working 𝘥𝘢𝘢𝘪𝘐𝑚𝑒𝑛. Okay, so we'll just work with one of those patterns, which is, we'll work at it two ways, from a ski into a 𝘭𝘫𝘦𝘫 and from a strike, from a 𝘭𝘠𝘦𝘢 into a 𝘭𝘫𝘫𝘫. You can work both sides with this, but just choose one to start with. Make it a little bit easier in this case. You can start already in the kamae. So you can start either in ski kamae or ken kamae in this case. And just play with that set. So if you think about ski into a 𝘭𝘫𝘫𝘫 and make the strike nice and strong, and then just play with choosing another side. You can also do this left side, 𝘭𝘠𝘢𝘠𝘦, switch, change, and go to that side. So just play with a little bit of ski, a little bit of 𝘭𝘫𝘫𝘫, or 𝘭𝘠𝘠𝘦, 𝘭𝘫𝘫𝘫. Just going to explore one thing, which is a bit more flexibility. Okay, good. So we'll explore this, do this very slow, because if you go too fast with this, it really it makes it very difficult to play with the form. So what you need to do in a way is like break a habit, which is stopping and starting the movement. So this is a very difficult habit to break, especially when we've trained a lot of time in really kind of a basic pattern. So pick a kind of simple form, in this case again, just a ski 𝘭𝘫𝘫𝘫. But think about this, really solid into the strike, and then think about really going fluidly into the strike, and even that's really too fast. So think about, again, solid here, and then what I'm going to do is just really work with this kind of feeling. Okay? And also, I'm doing two things. I'm going slow with it. I'm also de-emphasizing the striking aspect of it, and I'm really trying to change the quality in the body, which is now really asking the body to go fluid or flexibly through that movement. And it's really a different kind of quality of movement, which again, I really need to go slow with, so I can feel where the old form kind of needs to drop away, and I need to just trust that I have a basis in the movement that I can flow through it. Okay, so this is why it's so. Why the system sometimes works against us, because it trains us to do one thing, which is stop the hip work. So stop the hip and then go with it. Now the tendency in this is that if I go too fast with it, is I do this. I go like this, stop the hip, the hand goes, and then the hip goes after it. And it basically just pulls the whole structure out. So think like this, once you start this movement, nothing stops in the hip. It goes, it goes, it goes. And it's why you really need to do it slow, because the transition that I want to, or the block in the movement that I want to feel, is when the hip stops and the body stalls. So think about going into it, take your time here, and then really roll through that movement. But it's very difficult to do. And again, if I'm kind of starting in the arm, it's also going to really limit my ability to do that. Okay, so I really need to like working core out. But it's trusting that basic pattern's in place, letting it flow a little bit, but again, it needs really a slow training process. Not so easy. And also, the other thing is this: the basic pattern really screws up one thing. If I get this wrong in the basic pattern, it really limits my ability to do this movement, which is this. You move back, and you energetically pull back as well. So something happens in the body, right? When I pull back, I do this. And I kind of empty out to the back. And then going into flow is like not really possible, because I've already kind of exited this way. So think about this, play with the basic a little bit. But the key thing is that as I go back in this movement, I don't energetically drop out to the back. So the feeling is really that you're going forward with this movement. So really go here, really go here, and really feel that you're going forward with that motion. So it's really a setup for the forward motion, but it's not a kind of pullback, which just because of the fact the body does go backwards, I tend to also energetically go back as well, and I really can't do that for the fluid form. So think of that whole back move as just a setup for the front hip, to be able to pass the spiral through the hip. That's it. Yeah, good. That's it. Actually, one more. Yeah, sorry, is it up?
So from your point of view, you wouldn't really be able to, if you don't see the whole movement, understand from our body whether we strike back or forward, right? I mean, we're always stable and vertical, right?
Yeah.
It makes sense. So you wouldn't be able to see whether I'm striking back, because if I'm in forward, it means there could be anything, right?
Yeah. But the issue with that is that the setup or the kind of teaching aid, which is to kind of get the body in place to kind of express the spiral, it becomes a pullback of the body. And actually, it's not. It's like there's a lot of times when we're moving backward, particularly in partner practice, when you move back, but energetically I stay forward and I stay engaged. And if I have this feeling that as the body goes back, I also pull back energetically, there's a really massive kind of feedback on this later. But particularly for going like Kinagawa, it's the same. Like if you look at like an Ikkyo form or something, and I go back with the body and energetically also go back. It's like Kinagawa is really going to make a really hard problem for me. So I need to have the sense that as I actually draw back, I'm actually just grounding the body in the structure, and that structure is going to just allow me to kind of pass through it. Or really, in terms of balance, I should be able to go anywhere with it. But particularly if I'm looking to go forward and I kind of lose the back, it's gone, and then I kind of rock forward into it. So it's really just a question of balance in the end. But it's knowing the kind of also the pitfalls in the forms that we practice, because there's a couple of kind of real dangers with it where they try and naturally work a little bit against us sometimes. And then we'll look at a form. In this case, this is really exploration of the hip and the hips and their ability to really individually mobilize the movement. So one of the other blocks in this movement is that if the hips basically lock in place, and I use them as one piece, and then what tends to happen with this is that the body actually just rotates around the central axis, which is okay. It's not bad in terms of movement, but if I'm looking to then really flexibly draw the jaw back to position, I need to have the hips really working individually together, which sounds a bit stupid, but what I mean by that is that you really want to get the hips to be able to work individually in terms of mobility. So it means like the hips able to really mobilize separately from the other one. Okay, and I just am able to then mobilize the hips together, obviously through the pelvis, being able to move. But in this case, play with this form, which is going from that pattern through, and then again, slowly think about drawing the jaw back into the body. But if I'm working with a hip structure which is kind of stuck, this movement's very static. And again, I create lots of problems in the form. So again, just play with the form which is like a ski. Just slowly drawing the jaw back. But again, it comes back to an earlier point, which is about how the center's connecting to the two hands. But in this case, how the center's also acting into the hips as well. And again, the more I can kind of mobilize the hips freely, the easier that's going to be. So just play, it's a little bit of a mobility drill. Think about just one hand in this case, and you're going to switch sides each time. So the Joe's just going to be at my backhand, and I'm going to step through, and I'm just going to try and mobilize it across, and then I'm going to switch the hand as I go. So it's just to get this in, and then just to get this in. Now, what I want to feel is the hips really acting through the hands. This, and there's a switch. If you do this very slow, and also in this case, don't be so interested in going forward with it. Think about really just changing. And again, I really want to feel that movement passes from hip to hip. Hip to hip. So there's a changeover also when you switch the hand. the hip's also gonna switch as well. So the feeling across the hip kind of changes, or where the emphasis in the mobility comes from. And yeah, that's it. And you can be a little bit stupid with this in terms of I'm really gonna kind of play with this, and again, just really interesting in the hips, really kind of folding together, working together, but again, mobilizing separately. Yeah, yeah, that's it. That's it. And then play with a little bit more of a 𝘭𝘪𝘴. So it's basically starts slow and it goes kind of whips out. So think about it kind of gathering into it, and then it really all goes together. So again, it's this in an exercise in a way to just to de-emphasize the arm. What we tend to do is like the arms pull the whole body out. So think about really like the legs are primary. This drives through, and then the hand's just going to kind of roll through when the weight reaches the foot. Roll through when the weight reaches the foot. But again, put a little bit of kind of kick to it. There's a real kind of strong chain of connection from the foot to the tip of the weapon there. It's kind of feeling, but it's going to kind of slow, and then it goes. And the only real question is, can I sustain the feeling of the center of the body to the tip of the jaw? And notice if there's a kind of kick out, so dunk, it stops, and then it goes. It stops, and then another flip, or can I actually just sustain it through that motion? And again, going slow is really going to tell me where I'm losing the connection. There we go. Good. That's good. Whoosh. Last year, we do stick with the ski and the 𝘭𝘪𝘦𝘺. Just play with them a little bit, but again, look for something that's quite flexible. And the other form you can start to kind of introduce with this now is really like a fully flexible version of the 𝘭𝘭𝘺. So, and it means really not kind of pull back with it, just kind of flow through it. But again, just play with it, because again, returning to the basic patterns also kind of really teach me how the body's operating through the jaw. And then the pattern should just be functional enough that I can really explore different variations of it. You just start to explore turning with it, or whatever you want with it. Key thing to make this transition to really a flexible form. Which means a lot of the time kind of deconstructing what we're doing in the basic and seeing whether it actually does align with the progression that we want. Yes, that's. That's 30 seconds or so. Perfect. Very good. Okay, we will stop right with that. Great. どうもありがとうございました。
どうもありがとうございました。
Okie dokie. Thank you very much.